This area is one of the very difficult places in Zambia. It's a valley, as you know, between two rivers. We have got Zambezi and the Luangwa. Then we have got the tributary, which is the Rufunsa River, very near from here, which when I was a young boy, this Rufunsa River used not to dry up. It used to have water through and through. But when I came in 2010, I discovered that Rufunsa dries up. As a result, on the side of Zambia, all the way up to Manuere area, you discover that the Luangwa River is just sand during this period.
Luangwa River mweni izibira kutoka maenzi ya kumbuyo iwenze mana wabwinu wamene uzothandiza mvambiri ma gardens yezopotezo kwanisha kuchita manzi then kuchoka kudala yenze na manzi yambiri masiku anu manzi yanachepa kulibe manzi yang'ono.
Okay, the assessment on the Luangwa River is that the river is drying. And the reason why the river is drying is because of deforestation. Normally we experience flash floods, especially in March and February, which is not good for the district because people of Luangwa, they depend on fish selling and fish trading.
People around here, they don't normally do a lot of farming, which is a challenge to us. Yeah, because as you can look around, this one is a game area. And again, we are being affected by floods during rain season, and sometimes even the hippos from the river, they also attack our fields. So there are a lot of challenges which we face when the river dries up, because the small gardens which we do besides the river, they get affected because there's no much of some water which we can at least irrigate into our gardens, of which this has caused a very big problem to us. We find it very much expensive for us to access foods like vegetables all the way from Lusaka, of which is a very big challenge to us Luangwa residents.
Well, the challenges are many. From what we've seen, first of all, in the landscape and the Luangwa River itself, we're able to see that many people do not have access to water because the river is dried. And it's quite bad because the surrounding villages cannot access water anywhere else. So this now poses a question on how we can mitigate these problems, and also to allow communities to have alternatives of where they can get this water. Like in one chiefdom for Chifumbuka, we found that the water is even sorted. So it's a process now to look at how we can combine the efforts of sustainable renewable energy and also combining that with maybe purifiers for water so that people can have access. And what's quite sad is that this is leading to animal and human conflict, because if there's no water available, let's say for the elephants, they're now trying to access the food and also the water from the nearby villages. So this is now leading to so many deaths and of course attacks from the both humans and elephants, which is quite a very bad situation for the locals here.
Vachinja kale munali somba buno manzi anali deep. Nthawi zino mwanje mu Luangwa mulibe manzi. Kuti kwakuti ukuzibalire somba. So ngati zaenda manzi abwera, aenda mwazikana. Twankhala tumadamu kati mwemwe. So tutsomba tumene twankhala muja oluntungono. So bantu azi wati ni 2 weeks time manzi azasira. So zose zizafa. So aenda ukatengako. Aguliseko kwanza. So mukamba kuti mupa tusomba tungono. Chifukwa tusomba tungono wamene tuankhala pa place yakuti ngati muleke kuti tukule situza kula. Manzi azasira, tunyama tuzadya, na vinyoni vizadya. Mangi na ifo bakuyanga nako, nikumpita kwa katengako. Ati mukamba mutenga tungono. fuka kulibe mumungayisungile.
The problem that we have is because people are cutting trees for malasha, charcoal. Now, how do I stop them? I talk to them, they do understand, but they ask, Chief, we stop, what are we going to eat? Because it was only last year, since 2010 when I came, it was only last year that I had very good rain. And most of the people, my subjects, have at least grown some food, which it will go up to December sometime, some of them. Now, without food, then you expect my subjects to cut trees. And to stop them, it's like chopping their heads.
There's a project that's running. It's called the Luangwa Community Forest, which is being sponsored by Biocarbon Partners. So here, basically, both chiefdoms are conserving the forest. So by conserving the forest, that means they can also get carbon rights. That means they can trade in carbon, and when that money comes, it can be used for the development of the communities. So which would bring in, it would better the lives of the people, so meaning it will shift their focus from their day-to-day activities that are detrimental to the environment.
As a department, we have embarked on promotion of beekeeping activities, which encourages people to conserve trees for bee forage. We also embarked on necessary training programs, which imparts knowledge and skills on how to raise trees. We also embarked on sensitization meetings on the importance of tree conservation.
We have tried by all means to educate our people not to cut reeds along the rivers, which some of them have started knowing the disadvantages of cutting trees and reeds along the rivers.
Actually, where we are in Puka Chiefdom. I'm here actually to conduct a training workshop on small elephant repellent. We are actually trying to teach the local farmers who are actually fighting with the wildlife, because this situation where humans and wildlife fight, it has been not a good thing in Chief Umpuka, where farmers actually, the crops are destroyed by elephants, and sometimes elephants, the human beings also, they try to retaliate in a different way. So we are trying to bring a better solution where wildlife and human, they can coexist.
In our initiatives, we have decided to work and collaborate with our local partners, WWF, and we have over the past few months engaged in activities that are solely made to meet the challenges that the people in Luangwa, especially people whose socio-economic activities rely from what they benefit from the river itself. And some of the projects that we've engaged in the recent past is the Sustainable Renewable Energy Campaigns for Communities in Zambia, which was a project funded by WWF. The purpose of this project was to help offset issues to do with deforestation by providing a more affordable and clean energy. So the promotion of sustainable renewable energy was to meet the needs of people in Luangwa in terms of energy, considering the fact that not so many people are connected to the national grid in Luangwa. So this project and many other initiatives that we have been thinking of are as a response to what can we do in order to halt, prevent, and eventually restore ecosystems and biodiversity in a game management area as Luangwa. Sure.
So one other aspect that we've done, to try to put up to increase access to electricity through the off-grid space is fiscal incentives. So we have fiscal incentives that we've had since 2008 through SI 32 and 33. And this is just removal of some taxes on solar products and renewable energy products. So because renewable energy products and solar products are the ones which we use in the off-grid space, so there was a deliberate policy by government to exempt some of these from taxes so that they can be accessed at a lower price. Most of the people who actually are giving market are people that are in urban areas. And some of them are actually in grid-connected areas. They are the ones who are giving so much demand for charcoal. So in recognizing that, the ministry is trying to provide for alternatives to charcoal. So what else can you use apart from charcoal? Because of this devastating effects on climate change. So we are trying to promote gas so that people can use gas for cooking. We're also providing efficient braziers. So it's difficult to stop people when there are not so many alternatives. People will say, no, electric cooker maybe is more expensive and this is more expensive. So the options are limited, but we are trying by all means to provide other alternatives such as the efficient cook stoves. So there are people who sell efficient cook stoves, and we are trying to promote them as a ministry so that people can access these at a very good price, and then just promote them for more uptake. And if people can use less charcoal, there will be less demand and therefore less cutting of trees out there. And then we can save rivers such as the Luangwa River.
Like in Luangwa, where we see in the Luangwa Valley a lot of deterioration to natural resources, and you see even the Luangwa River. Once you are in Luangwa, you see just the color of water in the Luangwa River compared to the color of water from the Zambezi at the confluence. You see a great difference because it shows you that where the Luangwa is coming from, you have a lot of soil erosion, which means you see a lot of signs of poor management of the forest resources along the Luangwa River basin, and you see a lot of siltation now. A lot of even the fish catches are reducing in the Luangwa River, which means we're losing on ecosystem services that the Luangwa River itself can provide. And this requires a lot of action. It requires a lot of action along the whole Luangwa basin. We need to start reforesting those areas so that we can reduce soil erosion and you can protect the free-flowing Luangwa River that all the benefits on fisheries, transport, we rely on, and clean water for the neighboring communities would depend on. So the situation there is exacerbated with the climate change. You saw it in the valley. And the average temperatures in the Luangwa basin have gone up compared to 30 years ago. So which means even agriculture production is also challenged, and you require climate smart related agriculture technologies, you require irrigation support. That requires a little bit of investment because we've lost most of the ecosystem services that the Luangwa provides to the local communities. So action in the Luangwa is urgent and it should have been done like yesterday. So this is where Center for Environmental Justice has mounted a lot of campaigns and creating awareness to the local communities, the local council, the traditional leadership, to see what is it that we can do. So this is where we require a lot of support to ensure that we reverse the growing trend of environmental degradation in that belt.
As WWF, we've been concerned about the state of the Luangwa ecosystem and the Luangwa River because of huge uncontrolled deforestation activities, unsustainable activities such as unsustainable fishing and agriculture. We are losing that river slowly. The Luangwa River is very important not only for the multi-million-dollar tourism industry, but for supporting the livelihoods. And I know right now from your visit, because of the river drying up, the local fishermen do not have that employment option. They have to go across the river, across the border to Mozambique to buy the fish, to sell the fish that they used to fish locally. So we need a total shift in mindset. We need to urgently move towards our ecosystem restoration activities. As you know, this is the decade of the United Nations ecosystems restoration.
For sure, our doors are open, our hands are open to receive stakeholders like you to sensitize our people. Government cannot work alone. It can only work well if the stakeholders come on board, like yourselves. As our government, the New Dawn government, is ready to work with stakeholders, especially those who are coming with good intentions. That's what we want as people of Luangwa, and we are very much ready to work with you.
This is a matter not for the future generation to act on. This is a matter for us now to act on. So civil society needs to come together. The traditional leadership needs to come together. The government needs to come together. The private sector also needs to come on board. However, the government should lead on the issue of climate change from the front, because if we do not deal with the issue of climate change effectively, it will lead to a multiple range of crises. It will lead to water crisis, it would lead to food security crisis, and arguably it would lead to all kinds of conflict and lead to a case of a national security crisis, which we can avoid if we take the right steps around mitigation and adaptation of climate change.